Well, good day, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of Notes from the Pastor Cave, coming, of course, from the Pastor Cave. And so we don't lie, and we're really here in the Pastor Cave. And something of note happened that I just want to mention, that our last video was number 20. And so we've now produced 20 of these, nice round, even number, divisible by 10. And we're very excited to be doing this, and we're very excited that our subscribers are growing, and our views are really starting to grow exponentially here at number 20. So I can't wait to find out what number 100 looks like and how many people are going to be viewing that one. We have been in Exodus chapter 3 and 4 for a very long time. And I keep telling you that it is these are one of the most important chapters in all of the Old Testament. And the reason for that is they are very much a microcosm. They very much lay down a pattern for us of God's dealing with us as human beings. And when you think about what happens with Moses, he kind of jumps the gun. He assumes that he's somebody that he is not in a lot of ways. That gets him into trouble. That makes him have to leave Egypt, and he's kind of got his life planned out. I'm an adopted son of an Egyptian queen, and that's going to allow me to do this, that, and the other thing. And all of a sudden, he finds himself, at what we say, the backside of the desert. He finds himself for the next 40 years just being a shepherd and moving sheep around. And, that is very much what can and does happen to us many times in our lives. In my job, I get to talk to a lot of people, and I get to hear a lot of stories of people's lives. And, we kind of go along and we think that, okay, this is a good way to go, and we're going to go in this direction, and then the wheels come off. And, everything just kind of unravels around us, and we end up doing something or being something that we never thought that we were going to be. And the message here is that when Moses, is 40 years in the backside of the desert tending sheep and goats, it doesn't mean that God has forgotten him. And, very often when a mess is made out of our plans, and then we go on to something else, and it's not really something we love, it's never really something that we ever thought we'd be doing, we make the assumption, we listen to the voice in our ear that says, well, this is just pretty much proof that God doesn't care. You thought you were going to do all this stuff, and you thought you were going to do it for God, but nope, it didn't work out, so I guess that proves that God really doesn't love you and that God really doesn't care about you. And these two chapters are the definitive proof that God did not forget Moses. It seemed like a long time. For Moses, he would have sat there and thought, what's happened to my life? Why am I not valued? Why did the direction that I want to go in, why was that not valuable? And, of course, all the time, God is working behind the scenes to set up this scenario whereby Moses can be called by him and can walk back into this situation again and do it the right way. This time. Do it the God way this time. And again, this is a microcosm of our lives. That just because we find ourselves in some desert, whether it be an emotional desert, a spiritual desert, a desert of life just not working out the way we thought it was going to work out, that doesn't mean that God has forgotten us. As a matter of fact, this is the definitive proof that God does not forget about us. God has a plan for Moses. And this whole conversation is God revealing this plan to Moses, but also creating a foundation in the life of Moses, whereby he can now act out of this newfound encounter, the faith that's produced by this encounter with God. Okay, and so I have this little note, and it says that Moses now has his own testimony. When you think about it, the previous testimony of faith in the scriptures at the beginning of Exodus, the previous testimony of faith is Moses' mother, pushing that little basket out into the mighty Nile River, and saying, "I know that this is God's will, and I know that God is going to take care of my son." And it really is an amazing moment that I think doesn't get the credit that it deserves. It doesn't get the treatment that it deserves. This moment of Moses' mother just, letting go of the basket. Now, and Moses has had that, that testimony of her faith. He's had that over his life, for his whole life, and that's kind of been the thing that has driven along. But now Moses has had this encounter with God, and he's had the encounter of letting go of the staff and having it turn into a stake, and picking up the tail and having it become a staff again. And then he has, he takes his hand, puts it in his cloak, pulls it out, has leprosy, puts it back in, doesn't have leprosy. Okay, Moses now has his own testimony, not just the testimony of his mother. He now has one of his own, and that's one of the reasons. Sometimes, God, why do you bring me in and out of these trials, and why have I had such a difficult time in my life, and why has this happened, and why has that other thing happened, and there just seems to be persecution, and there seems to be tribulation in my life, and this whole list of things. Some of those things are that God is trying to produce a testimony in you. We talked about last time about God's power to get us into trouble and out of trouble. We only want to think of getting out of trouble with God, but God has the ability to get us into trouble and then pull us out of trouble again. And what that does is it develops testimony in our lives. Moses now has something that he can hang on. He doesn't have to just refer to some vague thing that happened to his mom. He now has this testimony of his own to hang on, how God dealt with him, and how God produced these miraculous moments in his life. And so now as he leaves and meets up with Aaron, and he goes off and he meets with the elders of Israel, and he goes boldly back into the land of Egypt, where he definitely never wanted to go again. He now has something right here. He has a testimony right here that will carry him through the most difficult of times, the most challenging of times, the darkest of days. That encounter with God is now his testimony. This God's story and his story fusing together, and then being this great testimony. So I just hope that you have a wonderful day. I want you to have a wonderful day. I hope you'll spend some time this weekend thinking about that. I like to talk about that we all need to have. One of the things between being a younger believer and an older believer is that as we become an older believer, we have this faith hall of fame in our lives. We have these different, in our minds, we have these different rooms that we can go visit, and we can look and say, oh yeah, I remember that time that God did that for me, and oh yeah, look over there, I remember that time, we were down to our last dollar, and all of a sudden we had enough food, and oh, that the other time that that my son was sick, and we laid hands on him and prayed for him, and now he's and then he was better again, and you have these little mental hall of fame rooms that you can go to. And developing that and having that is what God wants to use to encourage you throughout all of your life. Okay. So, by the way, I mentioned last time, and I don't think anybody responded, we'd like to have a Name the Sheep contest here. If you have a name for the sheep, go ahead and put it in the comments page. I just pray that you have a great day. God bless you. Vita brevis gloria aeterna. Life is short. Glory is eternal. Great day.